There is something about the American highway that settles deep into your bones, a kind of peace that comes from movement without urgency, from traveling without needing to arrive. This is a story about such a journey, one taken not in haste, but in the gentle rhythm of rolling wheels and passing miles, where each moment exists only for itself. Imagine yourself in an old pickup truck, the kind that has seen decades of use, but still runs with a loyal, steady hum. The bench seat is worn leather, soft and warm beneath you. The dashboard is simple, honest, a speedometer, a fuel gauge, a radio that crackles softly with distant stations that fade in and out like memories. It is late afternoon, and the sun hangs low in the western sky, turning everything golden. You are driving through the heartland, where the roads stretch straight as drawn lines across the canvas of the earth. On either side, fields of wheat sway in gentle waves, their stalks bending and rising in patterns that seem almost choreographed by an invisible hand. The truck's engine produces a low, rhythmic sound that becomes almost like breathing. It is not loud or intrusive. Rather, it is the kind of sound that fills space comfortably, the way a grandfather clock ticks in a familiar room. The wheels hum against the asphalt, creating a steady drone that seems to resonate in your chest, slowing your heartbeat to match its tempo. Through the open window, warm air flows across your face and through your hair. It carries with it the scent of dry grass and earth, of distance and dust, of something indefinably peaceful. The air is neither hot nor cool, but perfectly temperate, the kind of temperature that makes you forget about your skin entirely, as though you and the world have reached a perfect equilibrium. There are no other cars on this road, not for miles. This is not unusual here, in this vast middle country where roads connect small towns separated by generous distances. The solitude is not lonely, but companionable. You are alone with the landscape, and the landscape seems content with your presence. A red-tailed hawk circles high above, riding thermal currents with barely a movement of its wings. You watch it for a while, noting how effortlessly it navigates the air, how it seems to exist in a state of pure being without striving or wanting. There is a lesson in this, you think, though you do not put it into words. Some truths are better felt than spoken. The road begins to roll gently now, rising and falling over the contours of the land. Each small hill offers a new vista, more fields, a distant barn, a line of trees marking a creek bed, a weathered fence that follows the curve of the earth. Everything is bathed in that particular quality of light that comes in the late afternoon, when shadows grow long and soft, and the whole world seems to be settling toward rest. You pass a farmhouse set back from the road, its white paint gleaming in the golden light. A porch wraps around two sides, and you can almost feel what it would be like to sit there in the evening, watching the sky change colors, listening to the crickets begin their nightly chorus. Smoke rises from the chimney in a thin, straight line. Someone is cooking dinner, perhaps a pot roast or a chicken, something that has been simmering all afternoon, filling the house with warmth and the promise of nourishment. The radio catches a station for a few moments. Old country music, the kind with steel guitar, and a singer whose voice sounds like worn velvet. The song is about going home, about roads and rivers and the places that hold our hearts. Then the station fades, replaced by static that is somehow not unpleasant, just another texture in the tapestry of sound. A sign appears, Springfield, 47 miles. You are not in a hurry to reach Springfield. In fact, the destination matters very little. What matters is this: the movement, the light, the feeling of traveling through a world that is both vast and intimate, both endless and perfectly contained within each moment. The wheat fields give way to pastures now, where cattle graze in small groups. They are black and rust-colored, their heads down, focused entirely on the simple task of eating grass. A few lift their heads as you pass, watching with the calm, incurious gaze of creatures who have seen many vehicles pass and have learned that none pose any threat to their peaceful afternoon. The sun continues its slow descent, and the light becomes richer, more saturated. The clouds that have been scattered across the sky all day begin to arrange themselves in preparation for sunset, forming long horizontal bands that will soon catch fire with color. But that is still an hour or more away. For now, everything exists in this golden in-between time, this gentle afternoon that feels like it could last forever. Your hands rest lightly on the steering wheel. The truck knows this road and barely needs guidance. The wheel moves almost imperceptibly under your palms, making tiny corrections, following the barely visible curves. You have fallen into the rhythm of driving, where it becomes less an action than a meditation, where your body knows what to do without conscious thought, leaving your mind free to simply observe, to simply be. A barn owl emerges from an abandoned barn, its flight silent and somehow dreamlike. It crosses the road ahead of you, white wings catching the light, then disappears into the trees on the other side. The appearance and disappearance happen so naturally that they seem inevitable, as though the owl were always meant to cross this road at exactly this moment, and you were always meant to witness it. The landscape continues to unfold in gentle variations, a windmill turning slowly in the breeze, a pond reflecting the sky like a mirror, a cluster of trees providing shade for nothing in particular. Each element appears and then recedes behind you, becoming memory even as it is experienced, leaving you with an accumulation of peaceful impressions rather than distinct events. There is no urgency here, no pressure, no need to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. The road continues steady and sure, and you follow it with the same steadiness, the same sureness. Time becomes elastic, meaningless. Minutes or hours could be passing, it makes no difference. You are suspended in the simple act of moving forward, of allowing the world to reveal itself to you 1 mile at a time. The truck's engine hums, the wheels turn, the earth rolls by beneath you, and everything is exactly as it should be. The landscape begins to change as you continue your unhurried journey. The flat expanses of wheat and pasture give way gradually to gentle hills, and the hills grow more pronounced, creating valleys where small streams gather and trees cluster more thickly. The road, which had been so straight for so many miles, begins to curve more frequently, following the natural contours of the land. You are entering a region of small towns and covered bridges, of places where time seems to have slowed to a different pace than the rest of the world. The afternoon is easing toward evening now, though sunset is still some time away. The light has that quality of late afternoon in late summer, warm and thick like honey. making everything it touches seem softer, more forgiving. The truck crests a hill, and below you, nestled in a valley, is a small town. Perhaps 1,000 people live here, maybe fewer. A main street runs through the center, lined with 2- and 3-story buildings of red brick and painted wood. A white church steeple rises above the other structures, catching the light. Around the edges of the town, houses with generous porches sit on tree-lined streets, and beyond these, fields and forests resume their patient existence. You descend the hill, and the truck's engine changes its tone slightly as you ease off the accelerator. The sound becomes softer, quieter, as though the vehicle itself recognizes the need for a gentler approach to this peaceful place. The road becomes Main Street, and you slow to the posted speed limit, 25 miles per hour, though there is no one to see whether you obey or not. The buildings slide by slowly. An old movie theater, its marquee announcing a film from several weeks ago. A hardware store with a display of rakes and shovels in the window. A pharmacy with a lunch counter visible through the glass. A barbershop with its red and white pole turning lazily. Everything is quiet in that particular way of small-town afternoons, when most people are either at work or at home, and the streets belong to those with nowhere in particular they need to be. An elderly man sits on a bench outside the hardware store, his hands folded over the top of a cane. He raises one hand in a slow, economical wave as you pass. You wave back, and there is a simple, uncomplicated satisfaction in this exchange. Two people acknowledging each other's presence without need for more. At the end of Main Street, the road curves to the left and crosses a bridge. But not just any bridge. This is one of the covered bridges for which this region is known. It is painted red, the traditional barn red that has faded over decades into something softer, more muted. The entrance is a dark rectangle, inviting and mysterious, and the whole structure seems to belong so perfectly to this landscape that you cannot imagine it existing anywhere else. You slow the truck even more as you approach, then drive into the covered bridge. The change is immediate and remarkable. The sound of the engine and the wheels suddenly becomes louder, echoing off the wooden walls and roof, creating a temporary symphony of reverberating hums and vibrations. The light shifts too. The golden afternoon light is replaced by a diffuse, shadowy dimness filtered through the gaps between the boards. The bridge is perhaps 100 feet long. Driving through it at this slow speed takes only seconds, but those seconds feel expanded, special. You can see the craftsmanship in the wooden beams overhead, in the way the timbers are joined and fitted, in the engineering that has allowed this structure to stand for more than a century, carrying traffic across the stream below. Through the gaps in the sides, you catch glimpses of the water, a small creek, rocky and clear, moving with purpose, but without haste. The sound of the water reaches you faintly, a gentle rushing that adds another layer to the acoustic texture of the moment. Then you emerge into the light again, and it seems brighter for having been briefly absent. The road continues through a stretch of woodland, and the trees form a canopy overhead, their branches interlacing in patterns of infinite complexity. Dappled light falls across the road, creating a constantly shifting pattern of shadow and illumination as the leaves move in the breeze. The air here is noticeably cooler, refreshed by the shade and by the creek that runs somewhere nearby, though no longer visible. You can smell the forest, earth and moss, decaying leaves, the green scent of growing things. It is a smell that seems to bypass your conscious mind and speak directly to something deeper, some ancient part of you that remembers forests as places of safety and shelter. Birds move through the trees, their calls echoing in the enclosed space. A squirrel runs across the road ahead of you, its bushy tail held high, then scrambles up a tree trunk with remarkable speed and agility. The ordinary miracles of nature continue all around you, indifferent to your passage, yet somehow enhanced by your witnessing of them. The road emerges from the woods into more open country again, but different now, hillier, more varied. You pass a farm where horses graze in a paddock, their coats gleaming in the slanting light. One of them, a bay with a black mane, approaches the fence and watches you pass with intelligent, gentle eyes. There is something deeply calming about the presence of horses, their size and strength combined with their essential gentleness, their willingness to accept humans as companions. Another covered bridge appears in the distance, this one painted white. The approach is different here. The road descends through a series of gentle switchbacks, bringing you down to the level of the stream it crosses. This bridge is narrower than the last, and older too, you think. The boards sound different under your wheels, creating a deeper, more resonant tone. You stop the truck halfway across this bridge, putting it in park and turning off the engine. The silence that follows is not complete silence, but something richer. The sound of the stream below, a bird singing somewhere nearby, the faint rustle of leaves, the creak of old wood settling. You sit for a moment, breathing slowly, letting the peace of this place seep into you. Through the gaps in the bridge's sides, you watch the water moving over and around the rocks. It is hypnotic, this endless flow, this patient wearing away of stone by something as soft as water. The stream has been here for thousands of years, and it will be here for thousands more, long after this bridge has finally surrendered to time, long after everyone alive today has become dust. There is comfort in this thought, not sadness. You are part of something so much larger than yourself, so much more enduring. Your presence here, right now, is both infinitely small and perfectly significant. You exist in this moment, this place, and that is enough. You start the truck again, and the engine sound seems almost apologetic, as though it too wishes to preserve the silence. You drive slowly across the rest of the bridge and up the gentle rise on the other side. The road continues through rolling countryside, past more farms, more fields, more small patches of woodland. A sign indicates a scenic overlook ahead. You take the turnoff, following a narrow drive that leads to a small parking area carved into the hillside. There are no other vehicles here. You park and step out of the truck, and your legs feel slightly stiff from the long drive. You stretch, feeling your spine realign, your muscles release their held tension. The overlook provides a view across the valley below. The small town you passed through earlier is visible in the distance, its church steeple a white point of reference. The covered bridge you crossed is a red accent in the landscape. Fields and forests pattern the earth in irregular shapes, following the logic of topography and ownership, of water and soil. A few farmhouses are scattered across the scene, each with its cluster of outbuildings, each trailing a thread of smoke from an evening fire. The sun is lower now, approaching the horizon. The quality of light has shifted again, becoming warmer, richer. The shadows are very long, and everything has taken on a golden-orange glow. The first hint of sunset is beginning to appear in the western sky. Subtle colors, pale pink and soft peach, promising more dramatic displays to come. You lean against the truck's warm hood, feeling the heat of the engine through your clothes. The metal is solid beneath you, real and present. You watch the valley, watch the light change, watch the day ease toward its close. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. This moment is sufficient unto itself. A cool breeze stirs, the first suggestion of evening. It carries the scent of distant hay, of earth preparing for night, of wood smoke and dew. You breathe it in deeply, filling your lungs, holding it for a moment, then releasing it slowly. With each breath, you feel more settled, more at ease, more present. The world is so beautiful when you take time to notice it, so full of small perfections, of quiet grace. The covered bridges you crossed were not just structures, but doorways, passages from one state of being to another. You are not the same person who entered them as the one who emerged. Something has shifted, settled, found its proper place. You stand there until the colors in the western sky deepen and intensify, until the first stars begin to appear in the darkening east, until the valley below begins to light up with the warm glow of windows, people in their homes, preparing evening meals, gathering for the comfort of togetherness as day gives way to night. Then you get back into the truck, start the engine once more, and return to the road. There are more miles ahead, more landscapes to cross, more quiet moments to inhabit. The journey continues, patient and unhurried, carrying you forward through the peaceful unfolding of the evening. The evening deepens as you continue along roads that grow narrower and more intimate. You have left the main highway far behind, choosing instead these smaller routes that wind through the countryside according to the logic of the land itself, rather than the straight-line efficiency of engineers. These are old roads, some of them dating back a century or more, following paths that were once wagon trails, and before that, perhaps, deer paths through the wilderness. The truck's headlights are on now, though it is not yet fully dark. The beams catch the white line at the road's edge, illuminating the gravel shoulder and the vegetation beyond. Moths and other insects swirl in the light, their flight paths erratic and purposeless, yet somehow beautiful in their randomness. You are in a region of stone walls now. They line both sides of the road, built from field stone, cleared from the land generations ago by farmers who needed to plant crops and graze animals. The walls are works of art, though their makers would never have thought of them that way. Each stone was chosen and placed with care, fitted to the stones around it without mortar, held in place by nothing but gravity and the skill of hands long turned to dust. Some of the walls are still perfectly intact, their stones as solidly positioned as the day they were placed. Others have begun to tumble, victims of frost heaves and tree roots, of time's patient work. But even in their partial collapse, they remain beautiful, testimony to labor, to perseverance, to the human need to mark and shape and order the land. You pass an old farm, its buildings arranged around a central yard. The farmhouse is white clapboard, 2 stories tall, with a steep roof and multiple chimneys. Additions have been built over the years, creating an asymmetrical but pleasing whole. A porch runs across the front, and on this porch, a light burns, a yellow bulb that casts a warm, welcoming glow. The barn is weathered gray, its paint long since worn away by sun and rain and wind. It is a bank barn built into the side of a hill so that it has 2 stories visible from the front, but 3 from the back. The doors are closed, but light seeps through the gaps between the boards. Someone is inside, doing the evening chores, feeding animals, spreading fresh bedding, completing the 100 small tasks that farming requires. Beyond the barn, a silo rises into the darkening sky, a cylinder of concrete painted red, though the paint is faded and peeling. Beside it, corn cribs and equipment sheds cluster together, and in the field beyond, you can just make out the shapes of Holstein cows, making their way slowly back toward the barn for the night milking. You slow the truck and watch for a moment. There is something deeply peaceful about a farm in the evening, about the routine of animals being fed and settled for the night, of work completed and rest earned. The cycle is ancient and unbroken. As long as there have been farmers, these same tasks have been performed at this same time of day, in this same spirit of quiet satisfaction. A dog barks somewhere on the property, a deep, protective sound, but not aggressive. It has noted your presence, announced it, and now falls silent again. You drive on, not wanting to disturb the peace of their evening any further. The stone walls continue, occasionally interrupted by gates or openings where roads branch off to other farms hidden from view. In some places, the walls are covered with moss, their stones wearing a soft green coat that glows faintly in your headlights. In others, lichens have colonized the surface, creating patterns of gray and orange and pale green, living paint applied by time and weather. Trees overhang the road now, their branches forming a tunnel. The headlights reflect off leaves that are beginning to show the first hints of autumn color. Here and there, a touch of yellow, a suggestion of orange. Summer is ending, though it will hold on for a few weeks more. But change is coming, as it always does, as it must. You come to a small covered bridge, another one, though smaller than those you crossed earlier. This one is unpainted, the wood weathered to a soft gray. A sign at the entrance warns of a weight limit, 5 tons. The truck is well under this limit, and you drive across slowly, listening to the familiar echo of the engine, watching the play of shadows and light on the wooden walls. On the other side, the road climbs a long, gentle hill. At the top, you find yourself in an area of open fields again, and the last light of day is visible on the western horizon, a band of pale orange fading upward into rose, then purple, then the deep blue of approaching night. The first stars are clearly visible now, pinpricks of light in the darkening sky. You pull off the road into a small turnout, just a widening of the shoulder really, and turn off the truck. The sudden silence is profound. Your ears ring slightly from the long hours of engine noise, but gradually that fades, and you begin to hear the sounds of evening, crickets beginning their chorus, a distant cow lowing, the rustle of wind in the trees. You step out of the truck and are immediately struck by the coolness of the air. The temperature has dropped significantly with the sun's departure. The warmth of the day is rising away from the earth, and the coolness of night is settling down. You can feel this exchange happening, this breathing of the planet, this daily rhythm of warming and cooling. The sky continues its transformation. The colors in the west intensify for a few minutes, becoming richer, more saturated, before beginning their fade. Venus appears, the evening star, bright and steady near the horizon. Other stars become visible moment by moment, as though they are being born out of the darkness, though of course they have been there all along, waiting for the sun's light to fade enough that their own light can reach your eyes. You walk a short distance along the stone wall that borders the field. Your hand trails along the top stones, feeling their coolness, their solidity, their texture. Some are smooth, worn by a century of weather. Others are rough, barely weathered at all, as though they had been placed only yesterday. The wall is about 4 feet high here, carefully constructed, each stone chosen and positioned with thought and care. In the field beyond the wall, fireflies are beginning to appear. They flash on and off, random pulses of light, cool and greenish, hovering near the ground. There is no pattern to their flashing that you can discern, yet there is something hypnotic about watching them, about trying to predict where the next flash will appear, about the way they transform the field into something magical, something belonging to fairy tales rather than the ordinary world. You lean against the wall and watch the fireflies, watch the stars continue to emerge, watch the last colors fade from the western sky. Your breathing has slowed to match the pace of this place, this moment. Your thoughts have quieted, become less insistent, less urgent. You are simply here, simply present, simply being. The cricket's song swells and ebbs, a chorus without conductor, each insect contributing its individual voice to the collective sound. It is one of the archetypal sounds of summer evening, a sound that has accompanied human existence for as long as humans have had ears to hear. You could be anywhere, anywhen. This same sound has been heard by countless people across countless years, each person finding in it the same mixture of peace and melancholy, of satisfaction and yearning. A barn owl calls somewhere nearby, its voice harsh and sudden in the darkness. Then silence again, except for the crickets, the rustle of leaves, the beating of your own heart. You have become part of the night, part of the landscape, no more separate from it than the stones of the wall or the trees on the hillside. After a time, you don't know how long, you return to the truck. Your body feels loose and relaxed, your mind quiet and clear. You start the engine, and its sound seems both too loud and oddly comforting, a reminder of the human world, of progress and movement and purpose. You drive on through the darkness, the headlights carving a tunnel of light through the night. The stone walls continue beside the road, patient and permanent, marking boundaries that matter and boundaries that don't, dividing nothing from nothing, yet serving their purpose still. The evening has settled fully now, and the world has become a place of mystery and peace, of darkness punctuated by small lights, windows in distant farmhouses, your own headlights, the stars overhead. The road continues and you follow it, moving through the night with neither haste nor hesitation, simply traveling, simply being, allowing each moment to exist fully before releasing it and moving on to the next. The headlights sweep across a weathered sign that reads Fuller's Country Store since 1887. You slow the truck and turn into the gravel parking lot, the tires crunching pleasantly over the small stones. The store is a white wooden building, 2 stories tall, with a deep front porch that wraps around one side. Warm light glows from the windows, and a neon open sign flickers softly in one of them. There are only 2 other vehicles in the parking lot, an old sedan and a pickup truck, even more ancient than yours. You park and turn off the engine, and for a moment, you simply sit there, feeling the stillness settle around you. Through the store's windows, you can see people moving inside, though not many. The place has the quiet feeling of late evening in a rural area when most people are home for the day. You step out of the truck and stretch. Your body has stiffened from the long drive, and it feels good to move, to feel your muscles extend and contract. The night air is cool and fresh, carrying with it the scent of pine from the surrounding forest and something else. Wood smoke, perhaps, from someone's fireplace or wood stove. The porch steps are worn smooth in the middle from more than a century of footsteps. They creak under your weight, a comfortable sound, reassuring in its evidence of age and continued use. The porch itself is wide and deep, with several rocking chairs arranged in a conversational grouping. A bench sits against the front wall of the store, and beside the door, an old Coca-Cola cooler, the kind that opens from the top, hums quietly to itself. You open the screen door, and a bell attached to it jingles, announcing your arrival. The sound is cheerful and welcoming, as such bells always are. Inside, the store reveals itself as a kind of time capsule, a place where the past and present exist together without conflict. The floor is wide plank wood, worn smooth and slightly uneven from generations of feet. The ceiling is pressed tin, painted white, and from it hang various items for sale: seed caps, dish towels, small tools, things that might be needed on impulse. The walls are lined with shelves that reach nearly to the ceiling, and these shelves hold an eclectic mixture of goods: canned foods, dry goods, basic hardware, sundries, newspapers, magazines. An older man stands behind the counter at the back of the store. He is perhaps 70, with white hair and a lined face that speaks of a lifetime of smiling. He wears a flannel shirt despite the summer evening, and suspenders hold up his worn jeans. He nods at you as you enter, a simple acknowledgement that requires no response but invites one if you care to give it. "Evening," you say. "Evening," he replies. His voice is gravelly but pleasant. "Help yourself to whatever you need. Coffee's fresh if you want some." He gestures toward a corner where an old-fashioned coffee maker sits on a table, along with a stack of styrofoam cups, sugar, powdered creamer, and wooden stirrers. Beside it, a plate holds homemade cookies covered with plastic wrap and a note that says 50C each, honor system. You pour yourself a cup of coffee, add sugar, and drop 2 quarters into the cigar box that serves as a cash register for the coffee station. The coffee is strong and hot, exactly what you need. You take one of the cookies too. It looks like oatmeal raisin, and leave another 2 quarters. The store is larger than it appeared from outside. The front room opens into another room, and there seems to be yet another beyond that. You wander slowly, sipping your coffee, looking at the merchandise without any particular intent to buy. It is simply pleasant to be here, in this warm, well-lit space, after the hours of driving. In one corner, there is a small post office, just a counter and some mailboxes on the wall, but officially designated with postal rates posted and a scale for weighing packages. A woman is there now, an elderly lady with her hair in a neat bun, sorting through a stack of mail. She looks up and smiles at you, and you smile back. The next room contains more practical items: work gloves, rope, duct tape, WD-40, batteries, flashlights. But it also holds toys and crafts, suggesting that this is a place where children come, where families shop together. There are old-fashioned wooden toys, the kind that have been made the same way for decades. Pull toys and blocks and simple dolls. There are also more modern items, but somehow they don't seem out of place. Against one wall is a pot-bellied stove, unlit now in the summer, but clearly functional. Around it are arranged several mismatched chairs and a small table. This is the social center of the store, you realize, where people gather on cold days to warm themselves and talk, to exchange news and gossip, to simply be together in the way that small communities have always gathered. You return to the front room where the proprietor is now engaged in quiet conversation with another customer, a man in work clothes, perhaps a farmer stopping on his way home from evening chores. They are discussing the weather, always a topic of importance in agricultural communities. The forecast calls for rain in a few days, which would be welcome. The summer has been dry, though not severely so. You browse the shelves, looking at the labels on cans and jars, reading the titles of the magazines, running your fingers along the spines of a small selection of paperback books. Everything here is functional, useful, chosen not for profit margins, but for the needs of the community. This is not a store designed to maximize revenue per square foot. It is a store designed to serve. On one shelf, you find a section of local history, several self-published books about the area, photocopied maps, old photographs reproduced and for sale. You pick up one of the books and flip through it. It contains photographs from the early 1900s, this same store looking remarkably similar to how it looks now. The same porch, though the paint was fresher. Different signs, but the same basic structure. Different people standing on the porch, but people nonetheless, living their lives, going about their business. There is something deeply comforting about this continuity, about the way some things persist while everything else changes. This store has stood here for more than 130 years, serving the people of this community through world wars and depressions, through boom times and hard times, through the introduction of automobiles and televisions and computers and cell phones. And still, it stands, still it serves, still the bell jingles when the door opens. You select a few items, some crackers, a block of cheese, an apple, and bring them to the counter. The proprietor rings them up on an old mechanical cash register that produces a satisfying ding when the drawer opens. The total comes to $6.50. You hand him a $10 bill, and he counts your change back to you carefully, placing each bill in your hand, then the coins. "Traveling through?" he asks, not intrusively, but with genuine interest. "Just driving," you say. "No particular destination." He nods as though this is the most natural thing in the world. "Good night for it. Safe travels." "Thank you. Good night." You gather your purchases and head for the door. As you reach it, the other customer, the farmer, calls out, "Drive safe now." "You too," you reply. The screen door closes behind you with its jingle, and you are back on the porch, back in the cool night air. You sit at one of the rocking chairs for a moment, eating the apple, drinking the last of your coffee. The chair rocks smoothly, the motion soothing and rhythmic. You can hear the conversation continuing inside, the murmur of voices blending with the hum of the cooler and the subtle sounds of an old building settling into the night. Above you, the stars are fully visible now, countless points of light scattered across the darkness. You can see the Milky Way, that river of stars that is actually our view of our own galaxy from within it. Out here, away from city lights, the night sky reveals its true glory, and you are reminded of how small you are, how brief your existence, and yet how privileged you are to witness this. A car passes on the road, its headlights briefly illuminating the trees on the far side before disappearing into the distance. Then all is quiet again. You finish the apple and stand, depositing the core in a trash can beside the door. The rocking chair continues to rock for a moment after you've left it, as though unwilling to give up its motion before gradually slowing and coming to rest. You return to your truck, place your purchases on the seat beside you, and start the engine. As you pull out of the parking lot, you glance back at the store. Through the windows, you can see the proprietor and the farmer still talking, their gestures animated, their conversation clearly enjoyable to both. The warm light glows steadily, a beacon in the darkness, a place of human connection and community. You turn back onto the road and continue your journey, the store receding behind you until it is just another light in the darkness. Then, no light at all, just a memory, a moment of warmth and human kindness carried with you into the night. The road has been following a river for some time now, though you haven't seen the water itself through the trees that line both banks. You can sense its presence, though, the coolness of the air, the particular quality of sound that comes from being near flowing water, the way the land slopes gradually downward to your right. The pavement is smooth here, recently repaired, and the truck glides along with barely a vibration. Then the trees thin, and suddenly the river is visible, revealed in the moonlight that has been growing steadily brighter as the moon rises. It is a generous river, perhaps 200 feet across, its surface broken by rocks and small rapids that create white water. Not dangerous, not loud, but lively, energetic, purposeful. You slow the truck, looking for a place to stop, and find a small pull-off where a boat launch provides access to the water. You park and turn off the engine, and immediately you can hear the river, a constant rushing sound, not overwhelming, but ever-present. The sound of water following gravity's command, of liquid finding its way through and around and over obstacles. The moon is nearly full, and its light is strong enough to cast shadows, strong enough to silver the river's surface, strong enough to navigate by. You leave the truck and walk down to the water's edge, where a small beach of river stones glistens wetly in the moonlight. The air here is noticeably cooler than it was at the country store, refreshed by the river's presence. The water has traveled from somewhere higher and colder, and it carries that coolness with it, sharing it with the surrounding land, creating a microclimate of perfect comfort. You select a smooth, flat stone and sit down, facing the river. The stone is cool through your clothes at first, but gradually warms to your body temperature. The river flows past from right to left, constant and eternal, exactly as it has flowed for thousands of years, exactly as it will flow for thousands more. Watching moving water is one of the most ancient forms of meditation. Your eyes follow the currents, the eddies, the way the water breaks white around rocks and gathers dark in the pools between them. There is infinite variation in the river's surface. No two moments are ever exactly alike. Yet, there is also perfect consistency. The river is always changing and never changing, both at once. The sound of the water begins to work its way into your consciousness, becoming less something you hear and more something you feel, a vibration that seems to resonate in your chest, your bones, your cells. It is a sound that predates human language, that speaks to something older than thought, older than culture, older than everything except the earth itself. Small fish jump occasionally, breaking the surface with quick splashes, then disappearing back into the depths. You cannot see them clearly, just the rings they leave behind, expanding outward until they merge with the river's general turbulence and disappear. Each jump is a small life asserting itself, feeding, perhaps, or simply celebrating existence in the only way it knows how. The moonlight on the water creates a path of silver that seems to lead somewhere, though of course it leads nowhere or everywhere, which is the same thing. You could walk that path if you could walk on water, could follow it upstream to the river's source, or downstream to its confluence with a larger river, and from there to the sea, and from the sea to everywhere that water goes, which is everywhere that exists. A fish jumps closer to you this time, and you see it clearly for a moment. Silver body, delicate fins, the perfect curve of its leap. Then it is gone, returned to the hidden world beneath the surface, that world you can see into only a few inches before the water becomes opaque, before it holds its secrets close. You lean back on your hands and look up at the sky. The stars are magnificent here, away from any light pollution, with only the moon to diminish them, and even the moon's light is not bright enough to wash out any but the faintest stars. The constellations are visible, Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, pointing toward Polaris, the North Star, Cassiopeia on the opposite side of the pole, Cygnus flying down the Milky Way, patterns that humans have recognized and named for millennia, stories written in light so distant that their true nature defies comprehension. You think about the fact that the light you are seeing left those stars years ago, decades ago, centuries ago. Some of those stars may no longer exist. Their light is still traveling toward you, but the stars themselves may have burned out, collapsed, exploded. You are seeing the past, always the past. Even the moon's light is old, more than a second old by the time it reaches your eyes. You cannot see the present. The present is forever invisible, slipping into the past even as it comes into being. But somehow, sitting here by the river, under the stars, this philosophical truth does not seem sad or frustrating. It seems right, natural, the way things should be. The past flowing into the present flowing into the future, all of it one continuous stream, like the river itself. A night bird calls from across the water, a haunting, lonely sound that somehow adds to the peace rather than disturbing it. The crickets continue their endless chorus, and now you can hear frogs too, adding their voices to the symphony of the night. Each sound has its place, its frequency, its rhythm, and together they create a complex harmony that is never quite the same from moment to moment, yet always fundamentally consistent. You stay there for a long time, though time has become difficult to measure. Minutes pass, or perhaps an hour. It doesn't matter. You are suspended in the eternal present, in this moment that is all moments, in this place that is all places. The river flows, the moon shines, the stars wheel slowly overhead in their ancient patterns, and you sit and watch and listen and simply exist. Eventually you rise, your body stiff from sitting, but your mind clear and calm. You walk back to the truck, the river stones crunching under your feet, each step deliberate and mindful. You look back once at the river, memorizing this moment, this place, knowing you will likely never return here, but wanting to carry it with you nonetheless. The truck starts with its familiar rumble, and you pull back onto the road. The river accompanies you for another few miles, sometimes visible through the trees, sometimes hidden, but always present, always flowing, always singing its ancient song. Then the road curves away, climbing gently up and away from the water, and the river is gone, though the coolness of its presence lingers in the air for a while longer. You drive through a dark forest, the headlights creating a tunnel through the trees, the truck moving steadily forward through the night. The road is yours alone. You have seen no other vehicle for an hour or more. This is deep country, far from anywhere, and the solitude is total and perfect. The forest opens up, and you find yourself in a small valley, pastoral and peaceful, even in the darkness. The road crosses a narrow bridge over a small stream, then climbs a gentle hill. At the top of the hill, silhouetted against the moonlit sky, stands a church. It is a simple country church, white clapboard with a tall steeple, the kind of church that has stood in places like this for 200 years or more. A small cemetery surrounds it, the headstones casting long shadows in the moonlight. There is no one here. The church is dark, the parking area empty, but something about the place draws you, and you pull off the road into the gravel lot. You turn off the truck and sit for a moment, looking at the church. It is beautiful in its simplicity, in its unadorned functionality. The steeple rises straight and true, pointing upward like a finger indicating heaven. The windows are tall and narrow, designed in a time before artificial light, meant to let in as much natural illumination as possible. The door is painted red, a tradition you remember reading somewhere, meant to represent the blood of Christ, meant to remind worshippers of sacrifice and salvation. You step out of the truck, and the gravel crunches under your feet, loud in the stillness. You walk slowly toward the church, not with any particular intention, but simply drawn to it, curious about it, respectful of it. The cemetery is old. Some of the headstones date back to the early 1800s, their inscriptions worn nearly smooth by 2 centuries of weather. You walk among them slowly, reading what you can by moonlight. The names are familiar American names: Smith and Jones, Brown and Johnson, Miller and Davis. The dates tell stories of lives lived long and lives cut tragically short. Here is a stone for an infant who lived only 3 days. Here is one for a man who lived to 97. Here is a family plot with a mother and father and 5 children, 3 of whom died in the same year, 1878, perhaps from disease, perhaps from some accident. Each stone represents a life, a unique consciousness that existed once and exists no more, at least not in the form it once took. Each person buried here was born, grew, loved, worked, laughed, cried, suffered, celebrated, and finally ceased. They walked on this same earth you walk on now, looked up at these same stars, felt this same moonlight on their faces. They were as real as you are, as present in their moment as you are in yours. The thought could be morbid, but somehow it isn't. There is comfort in this continuity, in being part of this long chain of human existence. You will die too someday, and perhaps someone will stand over your grave as you stand over these and reflect on the mystery of mortality and the strange, bittersweet beauty of temporary existence. You approach the church itself and climb the 3 steps to the small porch that shelters the entrance. The door is locked, of course, but there is a window beside it, and you cup your hands against the glass and peer inside. The moon provides just enough light to see the interior. Simple wooden pews arranged in rows, a central aisle leading to a raised platform where a pulpit stands. The walls are plain white, undecorated except for simple wooden crosses. There is an old organ against one wall, and you can imagine the sounds it must produce. Hymns sung by generations of worshipers, songs of praise and petition, of thanksgiving and supplication. You try to imagine this church on a Sunday morning, filled with people dressed in their best clothes, singing together, listening to a sermon, sharing community and faith. You imagine baptisms and weddings, funerals and Christmas services, Easter celebrations, and Wednesday night prayer meetings. The church is dark and empty now, but it holds all these moments within it, stored in its walls and floor and pews like memories, like ghosts that are not frightening, but comforting. You sit down on the top step of the porch, leaning back against one of the posts that holds up the small roof. From here, you can see across the valley, see the dark shapes of trees and fields, see the ribbon of road that brought you here, continuing on into the distance. The moon is high now, approaching its zenith, and its light is strong and clear and pure. The peace here is profound. This is a place where people have come for 200 years seeking solace, seeking meaning, seeking connection with something larger than themselves. Whether you share their faith or not, you can feel the accumulated weight of all that seeking, all that yearning, all that hope. The ground is holy, not because of supernatural designation, but because of human intention, human need, human love. A shooting star streaks across the sky, here and gone in less than a second, but brilliant in its brief existence. You make a wish, not because you believe it will come true, but because making wishes is what humans do when they see shooting stars, because some traditions should be honored simply because they are traditions. An owl hoots from the cemetery, a soft, questioning sound. You look but cannot see it. It is hidden among the shadows of the trees. But you are glad it is there, glad this place is home to living creatures, as well as the memories of those who have passed. Life continues, as it always does, finding a way, filling every niche, adapting and persisting and enduring. You think about all the small churches like this scattered across America, across the world, each one a gathering place, a community center, a repository of hope and faith and human connection. Many of them are struggling now, their congregations dwindling as young people move to cities, as faith becomes less central to many people's lives. But they persist these simple buildings, and as long as even a handful of people come together to worship or to simply gather, they serve their purpose. After a time, you rise and walk back to the truck. You pause at the edge of the parking lot and look back at the church one more time. It stands serene and solid against the night sky, its white walls glowing softly in the moonlight, its steeple pointing upward with unwavering certainty. It will stand here long after you have gone, long after this night is forgotten, continuing to serve, continuing to welcome, continuing to offer whatever measure of peace and meaning people seek from it. You get in the truck and start the engine, the sound seeming almost irreverent in this quiet, holy place. But you drive away slowly, carefully, respectfully, carrying with you the peace you found here, the connection you felt to the long chain of humanity that has sought and suffered and celebrated in places just like this. The road continues through the night, and you follow it, moving forward through the darkness toward whatever comes next, content to not know, content to simply travel, content to be awake in the world during these quiet hours when most people sleep. The road has climbed steadily for several miles, winding up the side of a long ridge through forest that presses close on both sides. Then, quite suddenly, the trees fall away, and you emerge into an open meadow that stretches across the top of the ridge for what must be a quarter mile or more. You stop the truck in the middle of the meadow on a wide shoulder where the ground is firm and level. When you turn off the engine and the headlights, the darkness is immediate and complete. For just a moment, until your eyes adjust, you can see nothing at all. Then gradually, as your pupils dilate, the world reveals itself again, painted in shades of silver and shadow by the brilliant moon. The meadow is breathtaking. The grass is tall, knee-high or more, and it moves in waves as the breeze passes over it, creating patterns of light and dark as the seed heads catch and release the moonlight. Scattered throughout are wildflowers. You cannot tell their colors in this light, but you can see their pale forms nodding gently in the wind. The air is full of the scent of grass and earth and growing things, a smell that is fundamentally green, fundamentally alive. You walk out into the meadow, away from the truck, the grass whispering against your legs. The ground beneath is uneven, soft in some places and firm in others, and you move carefully, mindfully, aware that you are a guest in this wild place. After 50 yards or so, you stop and simply stand, breathing deeply, letting the night enfold you. The view from here is extraordinary. The meadow sits high enough that you can see for miles in every direction. To the east, the land falls away in a series of dark ridges, one behind another, fading into the distance. To the west, you can see lights in the valley far below, a small town perhaps, or scattered farms. The lights are tiny from this distance, like fallen stars, warm yellow points in the darkness. Above, the sky is magnificent. The moon hangs huge and bright, so bright that you can see your shadow on the grass, so bright that the landscape is rendered in what seems almost like daylight, albeit a strange, colorless daylight. But the stars are still visible too, thousands of them, and the Milky Way stretches across the sky like a river of light. You lie down in the grass, feeling it give beneath your weight, feeling it cushion you. The earth is solid and supportive, and the grass forms a soft mattress. You put your hands behind your head and look straight up. And now the sky fills your entire field of vision. Lying like this, you can feel the earth turning beneath you. It is not an illusion or a metaphor. You can actually sense the planet's rotation, the way a person on a carousel can feel the spinning even with their eyes closed. The stars appear stationary, but you know they are not. You are moving, spinning at 1,000 miles per hour as the earth rotates, and simultaneously orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. And simultaneously, the sun is orbiting the center of the galaxy at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. All this motion, and yet you lie here peacefully in a meadow, feeling perfectly still, perfectly stable. The grass rustles around you, animated by the breeze, and the sound is gentle and soothing, like whispered conversations in a language you cannot quite understand, but find beautiful nonetheless. Occasionally, a stronger gust moves across the meadow, and you can track its progress by sound, hearing it approach from far away, feeling it rush over you, watching it continue into the distance. Insects move through the grass near you. You can hear them, small rustlings and creakings that speak of countless tiny lives being lived all around you. You do not mind their presence. They were here first, after all, and you are the intruder. They go about their business unconcerned with you, and you lie still, trying not to disturb them more than necessary. A bat passes overhead, its flight erratic and swift as it hunts moths and mosquitoes. Then another and another. There must be a colony nearby, perhaps in a barn or a cave. They are silent to your ears, though you know they are screaming at frequencies too high for humans to hear, using echolocation to navigate and hunt. They are beautiful in their own strange way, these creatures of the night, these living contradictions, mammals that fly, hunters that use sound instead of sight. You lose track of time lying there. It might be 20 minutes, might be an hour. Your body begins to sink into the earth, to relax completely, to release all the tension held in muscles and joints and tendons. Your breathing slows and deepens. Your thoughts become less linear, more associative, drifting from one topic to another without effort or intention, like clouds passing across the sky. You think about all the people who have lain in meadows like this throughout human history, looking up at these same stars, feeling this same sense of smallness and significance, of being part of something vast and ancient and ongoing. You are not the first and will not be the last. The meadow has held others before you and will hold others after you are gone. There is comfort in this thought, in being part of a pattern that extends backward and forward in time beyond your comprehension. The moon continues its slow arc across the sky. Time passes, marked by nothing except the gradual shift of shadows, the slow change of the moon's position, the incremental cooling of the earth as night deepens. You are warm enough. The day's heat still radiates from the ground, but you can feel the temperature dropping slowly, steadily. Eventually you sit up, then stand. Your body is stiff from lying still, and you stretch, reaching your arms overhead, feeling your spine extend. You walk slowly back to the truck, pausing several times to look back at the meadow, at the way the moonlight transforms it into something magical, something that seems to belong to another world or another time. At the truck, you pause with your hand on the door handle. You're not tired, or rather, your body is tired, but your mind is not. And the beauty of the night has energized something in you, some part that rarely gets to wake up in the busy, bright, crowded world of day. But eventually you open the door and climb in. The interior of the truck smells familiar, oil and vinyl and the faint mustiness of age. You start the engine, and it seems too loud, too intrusive. You drive slowly across the meadow to where the road re-enters the forest, looking in the rearview mirror at the open space behind you until the trees close in and it disappears from view. The forest encloses the road again, and the truck descends the far side of the ridge through switchbacks and curves, moving gradually down towards the lower elevations, toward the valleys where towns sleep and rivers flow and the ordinary world continues its eternal routines. But you carry the meadow with you, carry the memory of lying under the stars, carry the peace you found there in that high, wild place. The road has become familiar now, though you have never traveled it before. After hours of driving through the night, through forests and valleys, past farms and churches and meadows, a rhythm has been established, a comfortable pattern of movement and observation, of traveling and being, of covering miles while remaining perfectly present in each moment. The moon is setting now, sinking toward the western horizon, growing larger and more golden as it descends. The eastern sky shows the first faint suggestion of dawn, not light yet, but a lessening of darkness, a subtle shift from black to the deepest blue. The stars are beginning to fade, the brightest ones still visible, but the fainter ones disappearing as the sky brightens infinitesimally. You have been driving for most of the night, though it does not feel like time has passed. It feels, instead, like you have been traveling through a single extended moment, a long now that has contained within it countless smaller moments, each one complete and perfect in itself. You are not tired, not in any meaningful way. Your body is ready for rest, yes, but your mind is clear and calm, settled in a way it has not been in a long time. The truck crests a final hill, and ahead, in the valley below, you see a town. It is larger than the other towns you pass through during the night. Perhaps 5,000 people, perhaps a few more. The street lights are still on, creating a constellation of earthbound stars. And here and there, windows glow with warm yellow light. Early risers beginning their day, or perhaps people who never slept, working night shifts, or caring for newborns, or simply preferring the quiet hours of darkness. You descend into the town as the first birds begin to sing. A few tentative notes at first, then more voices joining in, then a full chorus as the birds greet the coming day with the same enthusiasm they have shown every morning since birds first evolved the ability to sing. The sound is joyful and insistent, a celebration of survival, of having made it through another night, of being alive for another day. The main street is empty except for a single person, a man in a reflective vest sweeping the sidewalk in front of a bakery. The smell of baking bread reaches you even through the truck's closed windows, warm and yeasty and fundamentally comforting. The bakery's windows glow golden, and you can see someone moving inside, pulling trays from an oven, working in that focused way that people do when performing familiar tasks they have mastered. You drive slowly through the town, not wanting to disturb its quiet with unnecessary speed or noise. The buildings are mostly 2 and 3 stories, brick and stone, built in an era when towns like this were more prosperous, when small-town America was at its peak. Many of the buildings show their age now, paint peeling, bricks crumbling, windows sometimes boarded up where businesses have failed. But many are still occupied and cared for, their windows clean, their storefronts welcoming. At the far end of the main street, you find what you are looking for. A small diner, its neon sign reading Betty's in cursive script. A handful of cars and trucks are parked in front, and through the windows you can see the counter with its line of chrome stools, the booths along the walls, the waitress in a pink uniform moving between tables with a coffee pot. You park and turn off the truck. The engine ticks as it cools, a sound that seems both final and temporary, the end of one journey, but not the end of all journeys. You sit for a moment, your hands resting on the steering wheel, feeling the stillness, the sense of arrival. Then you step out into the cool pre-dawn air. The sky is noticeably lighter now, the blue deeper and more vibrant. Venus is still visible, bright and steady near the western horizon, but the other stars have faded away, returned to their daytime invisibility. The birds continue their chorus, and now you can identify individual species. Robins and sparrows, a cardinal somewhere, a mockingbird running through its repertoire of borrowed songs. You stretch, feeling your body wake up, feeling the stiffness from hours of sitting begin to release. Your breath creates small clouds in the cool air. Somewhere nearby, a rooster crows, an anachronistic sound in a town, but welcome nonetheless. A reminder that the old ways still persist in places like this. The diner's door is heavy with a pneumatic closer that hisses softly as you open it. Inside, the air is warm and rich with the smells of coffee and bacon, toast and eggs. The waitress, perhaps Betty herself, though the name could be generic, looks up and smiles. "Morning," she says, her voice friendly and unsurprised, as though people walk in at this hour all the time, as though you are not a stranger, but a regular customer. "Morning," you reply. "Sit anywhere you like. Coffee? Please." You choose a booth near the window, one that offers a view of the street and the sky beyond. The vinyl seat is patched in a couple of places, but comfortable. The table is clean, the laminate surface smooth and cool under your hands. A small jukebox selector sits against the wall, offering songs from the 50s and 60s for a quarter apiece. The waitress brings coffee in a heavy ceramic mug, white with a faint stain ring near the rim. The coffee is strong and hot, exactly what you need. She leaves a menu, though you know already what you will order: eggs and toast, hash browns, bacon. Simple food, honestly prepared, the kind of breakfast that has sustained people in places like this for generations. While you wait for your food, you watch through the window as the sky continues its transformation. The blue deepens and brightens, taking on hints of pink and gold near the horizon. The street lights begin to turn off one by one, their sensors detecting the growing daylight. More people appear, a woman walking a dog, a man in work clothes getting into a pickup truck, a teenage boy on a bicycle delivering newspapers. The town is waking up, beginning another day, the eternal cycle continuing. Each person you see is moving toward their own destiny, carrying their own stories, living lives as complex and meaningful as your own. The realization is humbling and uplifting at once. You're not special, not unique, but neither is anyone else. You are all in this together, all traveling through time toward unknown destinations, all doing the best you can with what you have been given. Your breakfast arrives, and it is perfect. The eggs cook just right, the toast golden brown, the bacon crisp but not burned. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, in no hurry. The diner gradually fills with other customers, older men mostly, farmers and retired workers, people who've been coming here for decades, who know each other's names and stories, who share easy conversation and comfortable silences. Through the window, you watch the sun finally appear, a brilliant sliver of gold breaking over the eastern hills, sending shafts of light across the valley. The light touches the tops of buildings first, then gradually descends, illuminating the world in stages, bringing color back after the monochrome of night. The sky transitions from blue to a pale, clear color that promises a beautiful day. You finish your breakfast and your coffee, leave money on a table with a generous tip, and make your way to the door. The waitress calls out, "You have a good day now." "You too," you reply, and mean it. Outside, the morning is fully established. The sun is warm on your face, and the air has lost its night chill. The day has begun, and with it all the busyness and noise and activity that characterizes human existence. But you have had the night, have traveled through those quiet hours when the world belongs to dreamers and wanderers, when the pace slows and the mind can breathe, when it is possible to see clearly and feel deeply and simply be. You get back in the truck and start the engine one more time, but you do not drive away immediately. You sit and watch the town come to life, watch people beginning their days, watch the ordinary miracle of existence continuing. You feel rested, though you have not slept. You feel at peace, though nothing in your external circumstances has changed. You feel grateful for reasons you cannot entirely articulate. For this night, this journey, these quiet hours of driving through the American countryside under the moon and stars. Eventually, you put the truck in gear and drive away, following the road out of town, continuing your journey. Because the journey never really ends. There are always more roads to travel, more places to see, more moments to inhabit. The night has passed, but other nights will come. The road continues, and you follow it, moving forward through time and space, always traveling, always arriving, always home, and always seeking home, in the eternal paradox that is human existence. The truck moves steadily forward. The sun climbs higher in the sky. The day unfolds around you, full of promise and possibility. And somewhere deep inside, you carry the peace of the night journey, the memory of quiet roads and moonlight meadows, of covered bridges and country stores, of rivers and churches, and all the beautiful, ordinary places that make up the vast, varied landscape of this remarkable country. The road continues, the journey continues, life continues. And that, in the end, is enough. May you find peace in your travels and rest in your arriving. May your sleep be deep and your dreams be gentle. Good night.